Hi everyone, welcome to another very special video. Today we have a Q&A and it's with my good friend Sarah from Abundantly Minimal.
Hi everyone, so excited to be here with such an incredible person.
I'm glad you're here. We have been having a blast these last couple of days.
Absolutely. Vera has been so lovely and is showing me around, and we're having so much yummy food, fun experiences. It's truly been magic.
Yeah, for me too. I'm so happy she's here finally.
We're meeting for the first time in years, after years of friendship.
And it already feels like we know each other for like much longer.
Definitely.
So let's see, Monday we did a high tea.
Oh my gosh, such good food and such good tea.
Yeah, it was nice. And then yesterday we went to Utrecht, which is a city like at the center of the Netherlands. And we like walked around and we had all kinds of nice food and we went to a museum.
It was amazing as well. I feel in broken record, I'm just gonna keep saying it was amazing, but it really was. We saw so many beautiful sights. They were patient while I took a lot of pictures of different things, and we had some yummy tea multiple times. Like, it was a perfect day, honestly. After we parted ways for the evening, I kept telling my husband Jake, it's like, I'm just so happy. So it was just a very fun day.
Yeah, for me too. And even the weather, we were very lucky with the weather because when they were coming on Monday, and me and my boyfriend were like kind of worried because the weather forecast was like rain all week. I mean, it is the Netherlands, so we have a lot of rain. But then it cleared up so much. Like yesterday there was no rain, and today like we did a lovely like morning walk through the town to get here, and it was like completely dry, and the minute we walked into the house it started pouring down rain. So we've been very lucky in that regard as well.
Absolutely. The weather is cooperating for us so we can have the best time together.
That's what it feels like though.
Right.
So you guys have actually sent in so many really good questions that we are very excited to answer. It was hard to choose, so thank you so much to everyone who participated.
Thank you.
And just thank you so much also for like looking forward to our video. I mean, there are so many of you who said like, oh, I follow Sarah too, so it's going to be so much fun to see you together. And we were so hyped up to do this video.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of smiling and laughing just in general, I think.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, we have 6 questions. I'm going to put video chapters in the description box. And this video has another part because we divided up the questions. So the fun doesn't end with this video. We just filmed your video too. So we're gonna link each other's video in the description box if you want to watch them both.
Double the fun, double the questions.
Exactly. And you know, if you haven't subscribed to Abundantly Minimal yet, you should do that. You should go over and subscribe to my good friends.
Oh shucks, thanks.
So should we get into it?
Let's do it.
All right, so the first one is actually like a couple people asked similar questions. The first one was from Yuska. My question is if there are any cultural differences between the Netherlands and the US with regards to minimalism and intentional living. It's going to be fun to dive into. And then Dave asked, how do you find your culture affects your minimalist experience? Local, national expectations, mindset, norms, etc. And then Melinda asked, where are you both from and how long did it take to get to where you both are? Actually, I'm very curious to your experience having just spent a couple of days in the Netherlands because I've never been to the US, so.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely, you know, we can totally look at this as the approach of like, yes, these two places are different, but I think also just there's different living experiences in both countries. So, you know, I don't want to speak for, well, all people in the US are this way and all people in the Netherlands are this way, since there's, I think, a lot of nuance. I would say definitely, and this is not necessarily just true with Netherlands, but also other places. I know in the US, there definitely seems to be a lot more space, and I think homes generally do tend to be a bit larger. So I feel like that does actually greatly affect like what the minimalist experience looks like, just because I think in smaller spaces there is more necessity to pare down possessions and have a much more intentional approach, just because, you know, there's not as much space. Of course, there's different size homes everywhere, and different experiences that lead people to have different belongings. But I think that's a
big difference.
Big one, yeah.
Even just something as practical as having like a garage. I feel like a lot of homes in America have a garage, and we don't really have them here. Like only like the really big fancy homes have a garage. So it's like we don't have that opportunity to just stuff it full of stuff, you know. We usually have like a small storage space. Like we also don't have much built-in closet space either. We just have to buy our furniture. There's not like a walk-in closet or anything like that here, so that's a big difference.
Yeah, or even kind of to piggyback off your garage example, also like just even cars, you know, like how someone chooses to get around and how that affects things. So yeah, there's a lot of, I think, variation within just like the way our lives are structured and that sort of thing. But I also think there are a lot of similarities based upon different, like what you do. So since we both work from home and have the opportunity to do that, I think a lot of our daily lives maybe look pretty similar in terms of what that experience is. But yeah, I think that's my general answer. Do you feel like there's anything else? I know it's tough. You haven't been to the U.S., but
well, there is something that I would like to add about the Dutchies.
Ooh, okay.
Well, of course, I cannot speak for all Dutch people, but I feel like the culture here is a bit more towards the frugal side. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like prejudice around Dutch people being like stingy and like going Dutch and stuff. And I don't think we're stingy necessarily, but we do like to be frugal a little bit. And like, for example, if you buy something really fancy here, like from a fancy brand, and you pay a lot of money, it's not necessarily like brag-worthy. What's brag-worthy here if you can find it on sale? If you get a good deal, if you buy it secondhand or something, and then people will say, yeah, I only spent like this amount, and people go like, oh, go you know. So I think it's not that necessarily that focused on like status and big brands and fancy things here. And I think that that part of our culture kind of fits well with minimalism too.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because I definitely see a variation in that within the United States. I personally have also been a pretty frugal person, and so I do find a lot of joy when I'm able to get something like my husband Jake. He's very patient with me. At the grocery store, one of my favorite aisles is the clearance aisle, where there, you know, stuff that maybe it will go bad soon, and so they might put it for half price. I love to look just to see if there's anything I can, you know, concoct or put a cool recipe together for that. And then also, I think too, you know, I feel that way sometimes if I'm secondhand shopping, and there's like, I feel like I can get something really nice for, you know,
very cheap.
Yeah, so I think I've got a little bit of that as well.
Well, you're 10% Dutch,
I am,
right?
yeah,
so
I am
maybe
partially
that's
Dutch.
The 10% Dutch part.
Maybe, yes.
But also, like, on the opposite of that, Dutch people don't like to waste stuff, so we don't really like to get stuff out of the house. We like to keep it just in case, you know. That's the other part of it. And most people I know, when I say like I donated this or I got rid of that, like the first thing that they would often say is like, oh, that's such a waste. Like, what if you might want to use it one day? So maybe in that part we're also a little bit different. Like, might not actually fit that well with minimalism when it comes to the Dutchies.
And maybe some of this too is partially just human nature. Like I think there's definitely some just in case like precautions within the United States too. If someone's prepping for like in case of, you know, different situations.
Oh, yeah. Like a natural disaster.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, especially regional differences too, since the climate can be so different. You know, if you're in like maybe an area where there's hurricanes, or if there's, you know, just different types of, I think, disasters or challenges can come up. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking like we don't really have like hurricanes or earthquakes here, but the thing is that our entire country is below sea level, so that's the thing. Like, we don't really think about it that much, but sometimes people ask me like, aren't you afraid of like floods or, you know, whatever, and Dutch people don't really think about it too much, I guess.
I mean, there's lots of good infrastructure, and I've just been very impressed by everything we've seen here.
So what has been your favorite part so far?
I mean, hanging out with you. That's the best part.
Obviously.
I mean, it's just, I think what's been very cool about this opportunity is, you know, it's not just being able to meet up with a friend, but you also have kind of like a personal guide who can show you all the, you know, local spots or the things that you wouldn't necessarily know about just, you know, how I'm often traveling, just going in, kind of researching ahead of time and seeing what's there. We get some of those like hidden spots and just finding the simple pleasures in, you know, the things that maybe aren't, you know, noteworthy or a popular tourist attraction, but that are still very special. So I think if I had, besides our time together, if I had to package it up, just being able to make those little discoveries because you know the spots and we're doing it together.
Oh yeah, me too. I've been having so much fun showing them around.
We're thriving.
And then the next question actually also relates to that, from Kathy. How does it feel to finally meet Sarah in person after corresponding with her for a couple of years? So it feels like surreal in a way.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it was so we were so cute when we spotted each other like quite far away on the train station. We were both like like young puppies.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was really nice. I mean, obviously, like, she's come all this way, and I'm very grateful for Sarah and Jake to come all this way. I mean, it does feel surreal, and then every once in a while, it feels like you've been living here all this time already. But then I kind of like suddenly realize that like you're only here for a couple of days, and then you're gonna leave, and I get a little sad.
No, don't think about that yet. We still have time.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. The surreal like aspect is definitely, I think, a good way, because it feels like we've known each other for so long at this point.
Yeah.
And we've communicated a lot. You know, we text almost every day, and we do like a Skype call once a month. So we very much, you know, have built this friendship over time.
True.
But being able to actually be in the same room right now, like we're right here right now, and I mean,
I can touch you.
I know. This Q&A, you know, it's making a video and answering your questions, but it's also just pure fun for us to just be able to hang out. We've got some tea as well. You know, it's just been so lovely.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next question is a bit of a topic change, but I think it's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to know what you both think about technology evolving, and if you feel you both strive to keep a balance between that and the old-fashioned writing. For example, do you physically write lists? Do you think that's more intentional, or do you prefer utilizing phone for tasks like this? What measures do you take to prevent living in your phones for everyday habits or tasks like the calendars and the lists that so many people like to use? It seems there is pressure to be glued to our phone.
I love this question.
Yeah, I think this is a very important question too.
Mm-hmm. And so just to kind of jump in here, I think for me, I have different approaches for different things, but I do, even though I live a very digital life, like, you know, working for myself, running like digital-based businesses, there's definitely, I feel there are shortcomings to that. And for me, I'm still a little old-fashioned, and with this travel, I still like to have a paper ticket, you know, if I'm doing something, if I was able to like print it out at home. I think for me, I have to do, like, I use a printed grocery list, like I'll write out through the week, you know, what items I need before my next trip, just so it's happening over time, and I have it in the store with me while I'm going along my day. My to-do lists for the day, I really like to write out as well. And I think for me, there's just, and actually I think from the former teacher perspective, even what we're writing out, sometimes that can stick in our brain a little bit better if it's something that we'll want to remember, and can really, you know, it slows us down. Writing can prevent the distractions from, let me pull up a new tab, or, oh, I want to check this account and, you know, look at the notifications. It can keep us in the zone. So I think there's definitely merit to that, and, you know, dividing up what makes sense to use in that way. But then also, you know, there can definitely be a lot of convenience of having records saved digitally so you can easily access them, and figuring out kind of how you'd want to organize your digital space and find you know, what works for you. I'm not even sure if I'm really answering this question.
Oh yeah, of course.
Now that I'm getting into it.
No, but it is an answer, right? And I'm pretty much the same way with many things. I'm like old-fashioned. I write out my grocery list like you. I write my to-do list in my bullet journal and stuff. And the thing is that I like to ask myself when it comes to technology and doing stuff on your phone versus doing it on paper, it's just what is actually easiest. Because there are so many people who like to organize their entire life online with, you know, all these apps that are specifically for those purposes. And if you lead a very like hectic life, or if you want to share your schedule with others, or maybe like colleagues or employees or whatever, it makes a lot of sense to do that. It absolutely makes your life easier. But in my case, it would not. I really don't have that much to organize because my life is pretty simple and calm, and I would have to learn that software or learn the app and stuff. It wouldn't necessarily add anything. So that's what I like to use, kind of like a little trick, like, is this actually going to provide something for me? Is it going to make things easier or something? And especially when it comes to things like photos and stuff like that, I like to have them in like actual form, because I don't really like look at my photos on my laptop or on my phone. So if we had like a very special trip or something, like we print them out and keep them in like a little album and stuff.
Aww.
Yeah, I like things that are analog a little bit more. But you know, you have to ask yourself when it comes to technology, is this just something that I want to use because everyone's using it, or will this actually make my life easier? And especially when it comes to, I've been thinking about this recently with like self-care apps and stuff. We're both big advocates of self-care. For me, self-care looks like not doing things with technologies.
Unplug.
Yes. So I'm not a big fan of doing self-care through like apps and stuff, where some people might find that super helpful, and if they didn't have the app, they might forget, or like it likes to remind you or something, in which case I would say go for it. So it's also very much like depending on your personal situation.
Yeah, and just hearing your idea kind of sparked me a little bit. It's just kind of like with our physical decluttering. If you have too much going on, either in paper form or digital form, the systems kind of, you know, disappear, and it becomes more bulky or difficult than streamlined. So to use, you know, the apps, like if you're getting constant notifications from all these different platforms, the digital space might feel very chaotic, just like a physical space, or even let's say with papers and writing, if that becomes chaotic, then you're not going to find as much value. So it's really important that not just, you know, we don't just work in our physical environment with decluttering things, but we think about the apps we're using, what are the most impactful. And it's very easy to download a bunch of things and try things out. Just, it doesn't require you to buy something new sometimes, or it doesn't take up any space in your home. But we want to also preserve our sanity and our clarity on our devices and within papers as well, I think.
Yeah, because paper clutter can get out of control as well. So
some of the toughest to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, and it's always funny to me because sometimes people ask me like, what do you use? Like, what program do you use for this, or what software do you use for that? And someone asked me like, where do you write your video scripts? Do you use like Notion or all of these different things? And so I just use a simple like word processor, just one of those like really old fancy ones.
It works.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, my answer would be make the decision for yourself. Is it actually making things easier, or is it actually making things more complicated? And you know, screen time, if you can reduce screen time, is always better, in my opinion anyway.
That's a healthy thing. I'm not great at it with my computer, but yes.
Yeah, well, we both work with screens, so that's unavoidable. But
that's true.
You know. Next question was from Bumblebee. What made you, as a highly sensitive person, start making videos on YouTube, and how did you get over the nerves of talking to a camera? Well, you know, what's funny to me is I've had this question asked to me a bunch of times with either a highly sensitive person or introvert, because I think to many people being a YouTuber seems like a very like extroverted job, but in reality, it's very suited to like a highly sensitive person, introvert personality, because you're usually by yourself. I mean, not today. I mean, this is way more fun. But you're just usually like by yourself. Either you're sitting in front of a camera talking, you're sitting behind your laptop editing. It can actually be a little like isolating at times even. Like I've missed having colleagues around sometimes. So it's not as scary as you might think. And I mean, talking to the camera is always weird in the beginning. Like that was a little bit of a thing to get over.
Definitely.
Did you have that when you first started?
Yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, it's a very foreign concept at first, especially before you know like people watching.
Yeah.
I think, you know,
You're like, hey guys, and no one's watching.
Yeah, no one. With the first time you get a comment, it's like that you don't know, like it's not a friend or a family member. It's like, whoa, like that's a person.
Yeah.
Like
I still remember my first comment.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I definitely feel that too.
I was like all like sweaty and all like nervous and stuff, but it goes away and you just have to take it one step at a time is what I've learned. Like I was making it into like a really big deal, like, oh, I have to like make this shot look really good and like the lighting and all of the stuff, but you just have to do it. And then it gets better over time. I mean, my first videos look very different from the ones now, and I hope that my videos will look very different from this one like a year or two ago in the future. So you just keep evolving, keep getting better at it.
And I think it's one of those things for me, at least when I'm thinking about it, I know I'm very much like a lurker in comments, like on when I'm watching videos for people, but I know, like, you recognize the names of people who leave comments and who are supportive. So it doesn't feel like I'm just talking to strangers in the void anymore. It feels like you've got more of a connection with the person, which I think makes it comfortable. Like, I mean, the camera, obviously, it's just a tool and not, a person or a friend. But sometimes it kind of feels like that's sort of who we're talking to.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. It feels like that to me too now. That's very nice. Next is a decluttering related question. How often do you look through your items and decide what you are using and not using anymore? Does decluttering happen often or a lot less? So in my experience, I usually try to do it like once the seasons change, like 4 times a year. And then, I mean, we've done so much decluttering already that we're finished in like an hour.
Their place is beautiful. I would move in here.
Like, we gave them a tour, and I mean, it's a 1-bedroom, so it was like, this is the living room, this is the bedroom.
It was longer than 1 minute. It was a beautiful tour.
Thank you. But and I'm a big fan of decluttering as you go too. It's like when you see something, my usual thing is just like leaving it, because I like to turn things into like a really big project in my head first. Like, oh yeah, there's this thing that's there. But then if I declutter that one, I have to look for like similar things and I have to make it like a really big thing. And I've learned to just, if you spot something that you want to declutter, to just declutter it.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Make it a big project.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah, and I think too, just kind of acknowledging the different phases of decluttering. There's certainly that more active phase where you're like, all right, 10 items today, let's go. But then there's also more so being in maintenance mode where you don't have to like work so hard at it. But like Vera said, if you find different things just as you're living your life, not needing it to be, okay, I've got an hour on my schedule, let's declutter this area. Being able to declutter as you go, I think, is very meaningful, especially to be able to sustain it. If someone's got a busy life or a lot of other things that they're working with, there just might not be time to say, yep, I'm setting aside this Saturday to tackle this particular room or my books or whatever it is. That's hard. So being able to find the, just gradual approach that works for you, whatever that pace looks like, that's great. And honoring your journey, whatever speed. It's not about getting there the fastest. If we're trying to push too hard, we are more likely to make a mistake or regret what we let go of because we're just trying to push so hard. So finding whatever feels right and feels natural. Maybe you're taking some time off. Maybe it's a little bit here and there, whatever it is. And then also being able to acknowledge, hey, like I did a really nice job and I think I'm okay for now. And just living life, there will be seasons of decluttering. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was done, or I thought that there were certain belongings I would never let go of. And then just your perspective changes and you realize, wow, I never thought I would let go of this. And I realized I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, that happens.
So it's a beautiful journey,
Oh yeah.
Keep going on your own journey.
Doing your thing.
Exactly.
So the last question is actually a really, really nice one, and it is from Frau Einfach. My question to the both of you, what was the most important / meaningful tip you've learned from each other? So I already have my answer.
Well, I'm excited to hear it.
There was one time, like we're Skyping every month, and we always discuss like our channels and stuff, and we give each other tips and things like that. We also discuss the personal things, and there was one time when my channel wasn't doing so well, and when it comes to YouTube, it's always like a roller coaster, right? Like sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down.
Why am I crying?
Oh!
No, I'm just thinking about my answer.
Oh, you're so sweet. Now I can't wait to look at it, to hear it.
Sorry, continue.
Okay, so you were saying, like, I was talking about how my channel was in kind of a slump at the time, and I was starting, like, not necessarily lose motivation, but I started to question, like, am I still doing, like, the right things, and and I was comparing my channel to all of these other channels that, like, started around the same time as me and that were doing better in terms of views or stuff, and I fell into the comparison trap, and we were talking about that, and I remember you said to me, when it comes to comparison and also things like professional jealousy and things like that, like, you shouldn't compare your journey to someone else, but also, would you want to trade lives with that person? Because their success is, like, it's part of their whole package, part of their whole lives, just like my journey with YouTube is part of my whole life, like my whole package, and I love my life. I love everything about it so much, so I would never want to, like, actually trade lives with someone else because of their, like, professional success or something. And that was, like, it put things in such a good perspective, and I've used that ever since. It's, like, the best advice I've ever gotten in terms of, like, comparisons.
Shoot, now I'm gonna cry harder.
I should stop.
No, and
it was so helpful.
I do remember that time, and I mean, something I've had to use myself at times too. It's just, like, to kind of, see the big picture, and it's so easy to compare, this one particular thing I wish, but when we really factor it all together, I mean, it's
part of your whole, like, your journey in your life, and I'm so grateful for everything, like, that I have in my life, so I would never want to switch. Mm-hmm. And I've used that one ever since, but now I can't wait to hear yours, actually.
Oh gosh. If I can get through the word.
If you can get through it.
I think, so this is definitely such a very powerful question, and I think sometimes it's, like, my relationship...
We can edit stuff out if you want.
Well, no, it's good. This is the real thing.
This is super raw. Actually, we should use this as a thumbnail.
Tears for clicks.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding. But I think what's so powerful about, just thinking, I mean, this friendship has meant so much to me, and I think especially, just sometimes, like, I think it was this video, it could have been the Q&A before, YouTube can be kind of lonely, and
isolating.
You don't know what you're doing, really. Like, people have tips and guidance, but it's so nuanced, and it depends on so many factors. And so just in general, having someone to go to about it, especially I've had some similar, like, ups and downs, with my channel and with my experiences too. And so that's meant so much. But I think just in general, this isn't necessarily, like, one isolated tip. Like, that was a cool tip. Like, that made me sound like a very wise person.
And I've shared it on Patreon too. Like, I share it with everyone who falls into the comparison trap now.
Yeah, but I think just in general, being around you and being able to, like, count on you and know that because there's also sometimes, within this space, you can't really trust, everyone, unfortunately, and, you don't know if someone's, like, actually doing something, because they want to, or if they just feel like it's good for their brand, or, if they're just trying to climb, the next step. So I think just in general, like, the warmth and the compassion, and I mean, you're darn good at what you do as well. I mean, you've got so much talent there. It's been such a privilege to be able to work with you and talk with you and laugh with you about, silly things. So that's my very just but holistic, honest answer here. I'm also just a common crier. Even, like, a sweet commercial can get me. Like, if there's a cute animal or something.
Yeah, I get like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I just don't know what to say now. So, are we done?
Well, don't you need to close out the video?
Yeah, I need to close out. No, we're just gonna leave it.
Okay, bye guys.
So thank you so much for watching, and I mean, we've had so much fun. I hope if you've had, like, half the fun we've been having today, then you've been having a good time.
Absolutely, I like that.
So if you haven't watched Sarah's video yet, we have 6 more questions there. So I'll leave her video in the description box, in the pinned comment, in the card,
Ooh,
like
yes.
everywhere. It's going to be everywhere.
Perfect.
And also, we're also going to film a video for the Simple Happy Zen community on Patreon today as well. And that one is already like one that I'm very much looking forward to, because we have some Swiss chocolates to try for that one.
I managed not to eat them before we filmed.
It's a great restraint.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very grateful because I can't wait to try them. So we're gonna have a nice lunch break, the 4 of us, because our partners are here too. And then we're gonna film the Patreon video. So if you are on Patreon, you can go over there as well. And yeah, I'm just gonna let you go for now. Thank you so much for joining us in this very wonderful experience. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.